All right, I'm going to make a video here about some 3D printed parts that I made for my 2021 Yamaha MT-09. First part that I want to talk about is the mode switch on the left handlebar. One day I was out riding, the mode switch, the black switch in the middle of this rocker here had fallen out, and left was a hole in there. I could see down inside of there, the little white micro switch was still there, but the keycap button was gone. So I tried looking online, and apparently Yamaha doesn't sell replacement switches that I could find. What I read online is that people say that if that happens, you have to replace this whole entire left switch gear, and Yamaha sells that for $200. I found the one on eBay for $150 and just decided, you know what, I'm going to take a stab at 3D printing it. The geometry down inside of there on my bike is asymmetrical. I don't know if that means that maybe something was broken down inside of there, or if that's the way Yamaha designed it originally, but it was kind of a pain to design the inner geometry for this. And once I got it so that it was what I wanted, where I could push it and it was the right distance out of there and the right shape and everything, then you had the issue of it needs to snap in, where you push it in and it has some ramped features that will snap in. So those had to be designed and added on. So in order to install this, you just push it until it snaps in place. At the top of the, along the top of the hole and along the bottom of the hole, there are two tabs in there where the snap features snap into. So if you ever have to take this out, you can just get a really thin screwdriver and push down lightly on that lower inner snap piece, and this thing can come out. So to show that in its operation, what you should see is when you press the mode button, it should toggle between whether you have the drive mode on the right so that you can change it, or the traction control modes on the right. So I'll just show that pushing the button does change that. There you go. Okay, next thing that I wanted to do on my bike, I really did not like how the seat is removed, because I wanted to put some helmet hooks under the seat. I didn't find there to be any good place for me to put my helmet. Sometimes I just perch my helmet on top of the right mirror, but there's bugs on the outside of the mirror usually. So that means I'm going to be getting bugs on the inside of my helmet if I put it up there. So I decided I want to make some helmet hooks under the seat, but getting the seat off, what a pain. Yamaha had this brilliant idea of locating the key. So I've got to take the key out of this thing, and then I have to go searching around the underside of this thing to find this, and then I've got to try to get this key somehow in there. Now I've got an aftermarket license plate bracket, so this might look slightly different than what you have, but same deal. To unlock the seat, you had to put the key up under the seat, and I find that to be pretty terrible. So instead of that, I've added a cable. And I think I still have the box. I went to Walmart and I bought this for, I think it was $12. And I used the shortest cable. There's, I think, 3-4 different lengths in here to make the cable for this. But then what I did was I added, there's a little bracket tie wrapped onto the frame here that goes back in there. And then there is a little handle here that you can pull. When you do that, it pulls the cable. And it's spring loaded. But when you pull that cable, and I may not be able to show it super well, but you pull the cable and pull the seat backwards at the same time and it'll unlatch. So I'm gonna have to put the phone down for a second here, I think, to do that. See if I can set it like this. Get my hand on here, get my hand on the seat, pull the latch forward, pull the seat backwards, and my seat is off. And I can set it sideways for a second. Once you have the seat off, now you can see I've added a couple of helmet hooks. There's one helmet hook right here. Just take this bolt out. Don't lose the little metal spacer that's down inside the plastic of the existing piece. Put this 3D printed piece on here, put the bolt back down in, and then just repeat that over here. Okay. So what does that look like when you have a helmet? Well, let me grab my helmet. Okay. So here is my helmet. My helmet is an Icon. What I usually do is just grab the outer ring. Forgive me for this bouncing all over, but so I'll just grab like the outer ring, not the other one that has the little red strap on it, like this. And then what I have to do to make this work, because I do have the tail tidy, so my directionals are kind of sticking out in the way, I have to put the directional in my helmet. See that? And then I can hook this over the little hook. And if I want to, I can then sort of like adjust the helmet a little bit if I need to. But then you see how nicely that it's hung on there. I have a place to put my helmet. And now I can just put the seat back on. Try to put the seat back on. All right, all you have to do is push and it will, it locks itself. Yeah, it's on there. So there you go. Now I have, a place to hang my helmet on either side of the suit. I'm going to hang two helmets on the bike. I can easily undo it. Obviously, as far as security, well, yeah, I guess anyone could open this if they knew that little pole was down there. The other thing I could say that I had to do to make this work, I'll pull the seat back off. I had to, of course, run the cable that comes from down here. That comes up through here. And then I had to run that, you can see it right here. It's running around. I have it fished through here and it comes back around and into the lock, right? So we should talk about that for a second. So to get this black bracket off, all you have to do is just get an Allen key and take these 4 bolts out of the 4 corners. You don't have to take these 2 off. Those are what holds the latch mechanism onto the bike or onto the bracket. Okay, so I have the 4 bolts taken out of this bracket. Now we'll flip it upside down so you can see what's going on in there. So your bike should look a lot like this, where it will have the same latch and it would have the little, plunger thing that moves, that's spring loaded. That though is moved by the key. Now, the way this is set up, if you look in here, I've got this key thing taken out and turned around 180 degrees so that the part that moves is facing the back of the bike. I don't want to lose all this stuff, but it used to be facing the other way where this metal tab was facing towards, you know, the thing that needs to move. I just flipped it around and screwed it back down so that I wouldn't lose any of the pieces. So it's still in there, but now it doesn't do anything. Because I don't think you can have that little tab rubbing up against this area right here where I've now done this. So if you look over here, I have drilled a hole through that thing, and I've also cut a little notch. And I've done that so that you can assemble this wire in there. So it's the right size hole with a little notch in there so you just run the wire through the notch, and then but getting that in the right place is really important. When I first did this, it was binding a lot. When I would pull on the cable, it would stay like this because it was binding. The thing I did wrong was I didn't drill the hole there exactly lined up with this bracket. So if you do this, you got to make sure, that's like the most important thing if you want to prevent binding. Make sure those are lined right up. Well, it turned out once you drill the hole, you can't really easily fix it. So what I did was I just bent this bracket, and the direction I needed to bend it was out a tiny bit, just bend it out that way a little bit, and then it lined up better with this and got rid of the binding. But hopefully if you try this, you won't have that problem, because you'll drill a hole more accurately than I did. Anyhow, then like I say, you know, you route this wire where you can get it to go and it, you know, fits well and doesn't bind or anything. Then you just put this back together, and that's how it works.